Okay, you goddamn woman.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Well, I spoke with the lorryman and the roundabout. At the roundabout. Level up. Yes, my ears on the harbor have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered? Wait, where exactly are these eyes located? It doesn't really matter, and I do apologize for the surveillance. Wild Pines can afford to be blind at a time like this. In any case, it's a relief to know someone has looked into it. If I may ask, will there be an official investigation? I assume what you discovered there is an operation. Silence in success is trying to conceal her excitement, but the slight glimmer in her green eyes tells you otherwise. The lieutenant is about to interject. Cut him off. This decision should be yours. Authority, of course, wants me to be making the decision, but I'm happy to let the lieutenant handle this, to be honest. I like him handling things. Let the lieutenant handle this. If there is an investigation, it will be part of an ongoing operation, subject to confidentiality. I am sure you understand. Of course, detectives, he says, her tone more cautious than suddenly. In any case, you've held up your end of your arrangement. I trust you with the rest. Now it's my turn. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I am afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands. The words bloodbath sound cold in her mouth. They taste of iron and strawberries. What was that about a bloodbath? Yes, I'm afraid the strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Revenshaw West. Since you're sharing, ma'am, this is also the RCM's worst-case scenario. Then we are on the same page, as grim as it may be. Well, I've already heard about the connection between the lynching and the strike, but I need your testimony. I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer has experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail. A momentary lapse of faith, eh? They were dispatched after I relayed the union's initial offer. Every worker and all that, yep. A member of the board, she nods. I tried to convince my employer it was simply a piece of rhetoric or a joke. They did not appreciate the humor. Do you need a security detail? Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering. Who are they exactly? A Crenial and Orthogenes military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating. They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment. Probably the reason that the one guy got lynched. So what happened? A story is one of them. The Colonial, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. But on the other hand, yeah, sexual assault in a local woman here, yeah, you could be expecting something like that would then go on and happen. Like, obviously enough, he did something very terrible wrong to get lynched. He was taken out behind the whirlwind in rags and lynched last Sunday night. What then? Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbor. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining two Grenell contractors carry out their orders. For now. For now. It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow. That doesn't sound very good. What is the nature of this so-called investigation? Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants. Yeah, that would be a pretty big bloodbath, and to be honest, I don't think that they were doing that bad of a thing or that wrong of a thing by lynching that guy who was assaulting someone sexually. So, you know, at the end of the day, they did have some good reasons to do what they did. And be all of them, the decision is already made. How nice to know that. I have to check what the half-light exactly was, but nonetheless it's interesting that we can now see that it would be all of them. I'm so tempted to say just boy oh boy, is that not good. Yeah, I'm gonna say it because that just sounds right. Boy oh boy, is that not good. It's not good, no. A wave crashes against the side of her boat. My only hope is that you provide a single, concrete suspect before the mercenaries indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, she grabs hold of the mainsail. If you don't pin this on someone good and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond. They would have to project strength and power. Yeah, just more and more blood, eh? The Tibetians have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1. Have you ever seen a hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? She leans back. It's not pretty. These men work in tandem using semi and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all. She is silent for a moment, then concludes. As I said, a bloodbath. Isn't this a pretty bleak scenario you're describing? Many bleak scenarios have already come true. She looks at you, eyes damp from the wind. Blameless, patchless detective of the citizen militia. All we can do is to keep the rest from going the same way. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation. All right, good to know. What can you tell me about Grenell? Not much. Their public resume is relatively good. As far as private military contractors go, I believe there was once called Townwell. Down the Blackwell. They post a long list of clients: Saint Baptiste, Welshman Lawrence, Ian Trudge. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in third or fourth world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions, and thus. Meaning they're used to operating in war zones. How good? Yes, all the good conflict corridors. Subramundi, Jesuit, the Gemini's Islands, countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil. Okay, anything else you got on them? Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources, she thinks. If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though, she thinks. Do you know a lot about the inner workings of the RCM and the ICP, ma'am? In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCM. I did not think I would be dealing with a group like Grenell. Could you contact the company, tell them to call them off? Probably a big no. I have, and they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us. Ah, how nice. You said the deceased assaulted a woman. Oh, he didn't. She tilts her head. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. What did these teenagers by the canal say? That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. They seem to be to accept the story around Martinis. Well, that's a good question. Did that actually happen? Did it not happen? Great question. No way to know. The lieutenant consults his notebook, his eyebrows knitted in concentration. Odd. We haven't heard any reports about an assault in connection with the lynching. Where did it take place, and when? Well, not exactly, but on the other hand, the guys that were talking that they overall as a group would have done it, someone mentioned it? I'm pretty sure. Because it did sound familiar to me. Last Sunday night at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates, supposedly the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. And who was this woman? That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor. About a rumor. In any case, it's what the colonial remaining colleagues believe. You'll meet her soon enough, you feel? I hope so. I hope we will. Because, that would give us a lot of answers, nonetheless. Even though that person probably wouldn't like to talk much. This colonial, the one who was hanged, did you know him? If you mean, did I see him alive? Yes, but I did not know him. You don't know how you know. It's not written on her face nor in her voice, but she had sympathy for this man. You liked him. Liked is a bit strong, she tosses her head. He was the most charismatic among them. He handled all the talking. His departure left a major gap in the group's communication skills. And his name was... Lely. His service name, nom de guerre most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one. Tell me about the others first. One is a man, Corty, they call him a nickname as well. The other a woman, Pilis Tipol. Corty is the gunner, I believe. Tipol is a radio operator. The lieutenant cuts in. What would you say was his eye color, the deceased's? She closes her eyes, trying to picture the man's face, then shakes her head. I can't remember. There's a pang of regret to her voice. The lieutenant was testing her, asking a small detail first to see if she knew him better than she let on. She passed, as in couldn't remember the color of the eyes. That's all right, ma'am. Anything else? Nationality? What would you say was his age? He was 40 or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age or gauge his facial expressions. Indeed, this matches the dental reconstruction we saw on the body. He says to you, then turns back to Joyce. What else? Nationality? Accent? He was Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oranges or Messinian maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it, through the injury. She nods. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once. Where are the two remaining mercs now? They've gone to ground, as if there. I don't recommend seeking them out. She puts her foot to the guard wire for balance. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the revancheful citizen militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes, ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting. Vigilantes? You're a professional officer of the only legitimate authority in Revanchol, indeed. Vigilantes? The RCM gets its authority from the coalition. Where does theirs come from? Somehow I doubt that lecturing them on the legitimate use of force will persuade them to stand down. Well, we still should at least know where they are, if possible. You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, it will be a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved. Where are these mercenaries? Scrap leader murder, bad reply. From the +1 to scrap leader murder, bad reply. I don't know why, what that is exactly, but alright, let's try it. I'll hope for the best. Yes. One is obviously the scap leader at the harbor gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. Alright. That does make sense. He did have a bad response there. Yeah, now I get it. Scap leader at the harbor gates, the one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise. The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers. Alright, makes sense. So, one must be a goon in ill-fitting work clothes by the harbor gates, the scap leader. That may be so. She's poised and unperturbed. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest. For all your talk of averting this catastrophe, the situation at the gates is a powder keg. Does this not bother you? Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant, but my hands are tied. How would my employer react if it appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union? Your concern may be appearances, ours is keeping the peace. And then one is probably in the building overlooking the roundabout. That would afford a good vantage point, she says. In any case, it's practically inaccessible. Where is your radio for contacting them, if I may ask? Do you have an earpiece? Heavens, no, I'm not an undercover agent. There's shortwave at the ship's wheel. She nods towards the sloop cabin. Alrighty, well, another question for you. I hope I can answer it better. So how much time do we have? Until the execution start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress on identifying the members of the lynch mob and their impatience. They don't report their progress to you. Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative. There is a brief silence. Seagulls squawk over the bay. 5 days, not more, maybe sooner. Okay, we definitely don't have a lot of time, and the question is also, do the 5 days count from already the previous day that we had? Today must be one that we are talking right now, and but did the yesterday count as 1 day, or is it 5 days after this, or? But probably today is the first of the days, then 4 more days. Still not much time. It's a matter of days, not weeks. Well, that's enough for now. I am sorry to have been a bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask. Now, can you tell me about the statues? Show her the photo. Of course. Excuse my hesitation before. She races over the guard wire and takes the photo, holds it in her hand. For about half a minute, in silence. It was taken with a tricot not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs. Stay quiet. Observe the woman's expression. Her mouth is relaxed, and the accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The barrels of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface. She has no excess of emotion for this cadaver. Has she seen dead bodies before? It's likely. So what do you think? Sorry, she breaks her concentration. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars. She points to one of the photo paper, on the photo paper. I can't, but that's how you read in this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent. Like blooms in a pattern. Close, she nods. Port cities. This is an Orangeese map of the waterways, a sailor's tattoos worn by wayfarers of the Tolerian century over 300 years ago. The sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels. What is the use of this map? The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die aboard. This is sort of a contraption to the real back in by the silver cord, they would call it. Where is he now? I've spoken to him. For now, the soul is fastened inside his corpse, totally. She remains unfazed. That is precisely what the sailors feared when they drew these maps. A fear of drowning within one's own corpse. What travels did the dead man make? Quite a few. Fredefort, the Orangeese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. She points to it on the photo. He started somewhere near here, I think. What next? Then he made his way to the Freto Grande through what I think must be Scart's Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Preto he sailed to the Insular Ocean, first the Seminis Islands, then this. She points to his heart. What is that? Revanchol, she says. Those are the two constants. Fredefort on the shoulder and Revanchol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insuliad, at the dawn of the intersolar age. The old world passing by, and the new world already here. You said you can't read it. I can't. This man was no sailor, and these are no pods. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning. Somewhere in an office lit by a single green desk, lamp captain Ptolemaeus Price, 58, bald and bespectacled, is writing in a ledger on his desk, rows and rows of days and weeks, laconic remarks in a single column, patrol case, vacation injured. Maybe he would know better. In Martinez, looking into Crenol, he writes in one. Then the man puts down his pen and rubs his temples with both hands. Outside there is a siren, distant gunshots on the streets of the Chamra quarter. This man is no brother of mine, but this is his service history. That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident, mercenary tattoos. For all the boys looking for adventure, a blood spatter on the seas. Who could tell me more? Do you have any ideas? His platoon members, the other contractors. Though I do not suggest you go and show them that picture. This man was their friend and comrade. It could go this or that or the other way. Maybe if you're tactful, it could be beneficial. I'll at least mark it down. I'm not sure. I need the information, but I would need to be tactful then. Do what you have to do. Detective, I don't think deciphering the tattoo should come before public security, but if you should wade into the mob to find out, I couldn't stop you. We will be careful, Mom. That's all for the tattoos. Thank you for your help. She hands you back the photo. Is there anything else I can help you with? I guess that's alright. I guess I could have a look into the reality questions. Was there something? Yeah, I could try to do this. Actually, yeah, Jamai's footnote complete. Woohoo! I have the Jamai's footnote complete. I can now come back into here. Alright, what is... reach for something fundamental, and that would be amazing if this fails. Impossible? Success. What is all of this? The sand, The sound, the air. What world is this? What world? The fading barrels of her eyes look to the sea. The only one, I suppose. The world of matter and its pale antipode. The camera of her mind glides over the surface of the water. What do you see? Even. Great bodies of water, forest-covered surfaces, clusters of light where the cities lie. You've seen the montage. We all have. This world is enough, she concludes. There is a term for endearment they coined for it. In the Dolorian century, when humanity was high on this world, discovering more and more of it, these archipelagos included. What is it? Elysium. Huh? It's kind of fitting if this is Disco Elysium, the game, so... Elysium. And the world needs a term of endearment. It does. And there are those who would call it hell. What is hell, then? A term of hatred that originates, like many such things, with the Mesk petrofascists. I don't feel like I have got the full picture yet. Oh, you want a picture of the world? She raises her finger to her lips. There is no complete set yet, dear. They are having some trouble reaching orbit. How come? Great things are difficult to achieve. For now, we are viewing the world from the inside, sideways. Inside, sideways? What shape is this world, then? We used to think it was a sphere, but that is beginning to look less and less likely by the day. You wouldn't know it from the tabloids, but the ORG nations have been launching weather balloons into the lower ionosphere since the 30s. ORG, Occident Eventualgrad. Alright. Actually, a trivial success of Encyclopedia finally succeeding in something. There's a steadily increasing trickle of images between the big three scientific contributors. They're piecing together a dark grey corona. A dark grey corona? Yes, she pauses. Pale covers 72% of the surface. There are grey flares and prominences, even arcs, above anti-isolas. The images are blurry, but if there was a spear in there, it certainly looks like it fractured a long time ago. A gold fear seeps into you. Oh my god, wait, what the hell are you telling me? You seem to be spooked. Please don't be. Her voice becomes homely calm. She lets a moment pass. The pale, what do you mean, Corona? They say there is a rarefied envelope of matter surrounding the darkened disk of our planet. That is, if we are still living on a planet. Or, to speak more plainly, imagine vast swaths of land disrupted by nothingness. I am sorry, dear. She looks around. It must sound quite terrifying through the acute encephalopathy. Encephalopathy. Even scientific positivism isn't entirely convinced about what we are dealing with here. But this is one of the great questions of our time. Maybe when they get the complete set together, it will jolt us out of our rut, bring us together, however naive it may sound. A fractured corona doesn't feel like it's gonna bring anyone together, though. You have misimagined it. I don't have the power to convey to you the effect and geometry of the images that depict our world from below low orbit. It's She looks up. It's like the crowning of the world. It's insane. Very disco. You'd love it. Well, if you say it's disco, then yeah, I must love it. See? Everyone wants something worth holding on to in this world, however wasted its opportunities. The gold seeps into you. The air is heavy with 80% humidity. Suddenly you're conscious of yourself standing there, on whatever this all is. Your arms hang down by your sides. The lieutenant observes you both. Silently, he adjusts his glasses. You said pale. What is exactly pale? The pale is not technically speaking part of reality. Yes, the lieutenant looks at his watch. Also, I think we've had enough excitement for today. We do have a case to attend to. His voice is low but firm. All she can say is, "Of course, Lieutenant." She paused and turns to you. "Let's try something else." What do you mean it's not part of reality, though? Ma'am, she turns to her again. Remember, you're dealing with a very sensitive and impersonable police officer who's still recovering from a recent medical episode. The lieutenant's right. Let's change topics. She gives you a little wink. What do you want to know? Anything. But she wants to tell you. But she wants to tell you. Kim trusts you. Well, I wonder, can I, did I have anything that increases my volition? Probably not. Let's just see quickly. Do I have something that would give me some volition or not take it away at least? There's definitely nothing here. And there's nothing here because I don't have really the space in any way. I do have 2 skill points though. But what would I want even? It's so weird actually that my volition is this. Like -5 damage overall means that my volition is so much lower than it should be otherwise. That's kind of strange actually. I didn't realize that that's how it works. Then there is actually a sense to be healing yourself with this because otherwise you're having a lot more issues. But of course we do have very low amount of these charges anymore and we're gonna be going to sleep, so I wouldn't want to do it too many times, but I guess I could try to do it just a few times.
What can I help you with?
Can you please, Kim, let me have some time? Ask for Kim to step away while you discuss the pail. Good idea. Just ask him. He won't make a scene. Kim, can I talk to the man alone for a second? Fine. He steps away with his notes. See, what can he do? You're a grown man. Now, what is the pail? Are you sure you're sure? Your colleague seemed adamant. Yes, what is the pail? Okay, she concedes. The pail is the most dominant geological feature of the world, detective. The separative tissue between the isola. This is the interstellar mass. Wait, and what is an isola? Isola is a Messinian word for a continent of matter, enveloped on all sides by the pale. Also isolation or landmass. We used to believe there was only one. In the last 4 centuries we have discovered 7. Monti, Siol, Samara, Ilmara, Krat, Kadla, and this Insulinte. And Insulinte is? An oceanic isola. It comprises mostly of water. Monti is the largest, Katla the coldest, Insulinte the bluest. What can I say? She stops. It is Perisin and Tyr. Okay, so what is the pale like? Achromatic, odorless, featureless. The pale is the enemy of matter and life. It's not like any other or anything in the world. It is a transition state of being into nothingness. Okay. Is it here? Look around. No, detective, we are safe. She points to the sea. It begins there, 6,000 kilometers to the north, and even more to the south, east, and west. We are in the middle of the isola. As your gaze instinctively turns north, a small black pit opens up in your stomach. 6,000 kilometers from the end of the world? Yes, that is enough. Many sites are built much closer. And point north, there. An uproar of matter, darling, rising into the pale, rolling, evaporating even, a great vision. The area of transition between the world and the pale is called Borch Collapse. Imagine a grey coronal mist, gold vapor marked by spores of an opportunistic microorganism, a mold that's adapted to grow at the edge of the unrest. It's... She closes her eyes and breathes out heavily. The most disco thing you will ever see. You hear your pulse rise, the air feels caustic and cold suddenly. What are its physical qualities? It's difficult to describe or even measure. Something woos fundamental properties, the suspension of properties, physical, epistemological, linguistic. The further into pale you travel, the steeper the degree of suspension. Right down to the mathematical numbers stop working. No one has yet passed the number barrier. It may be impossible. If we're surrounded by pale, how do you get from Isola to Isola? Oh, it is. Her lungs deflate, her words sound like a sigh. So difficult for us. It is possible to force dimensions on the pale. In modern times, we can even compress its altitude, bouncing radio waves from one end to the other, shortening the path. But it is still hard for humans to navigate the pale without getting lost or having our minds damaged. The pale can damage the mind? Extensively. How? Some say the damage stems from extreme sensory deprivation. Others argue that the pale somehow consists of past information that's degrading. That is rarefied past, not rarefied matter. They call it the blend over to the self. The pale does not only suspend the laws of physics, but also the laws of psychology, maybe history even. The human mind becomes over-radiated by past. What does this over-radiation feel like? It feels terrible, absolutely terrible. International standards strictly limit civilian travels to 6 days of pale exposure per year. It's more for her. Way more. So you are not a civilian passenger? No, nameless detectives of the citizen militia. I am a member of the anthroponic business class. I'm cleared and trained for 22 days of pale transits annually. Perhaps that explains her strange pining after the revolution, some degraded early memories. Who knows? Someone else you've met may have been exposed as well, the strange grey-haired woman in her lorry. True, she travels a full lot after all. Do lorry drivers pass the pale? Yes, carried in the hulls of airships, you know. It's a horrific job. Automation will abolish it soon. That poor woman must have stories to tell like you wouldn't imagine. I wanna hear those stories, god darn. Are you over-radiated? Up to my chills, officer. What is anthroponic? Ponetic. However, I'm supposed to say it again. Anthroponics, she corrects, is the scientific study of the pale, or a recent iteration of it. By way of the crowd, the study of the pale reaches back 6,000 years. The Perikinesians called it the Western Plain. Did they cross it, the Western Plain? But after all, she's talking all the time of the Western Plain, that one lorry driver. There are signs of pretermortem crossing. Successful navigation of the pale relies not just on technical know-how, but intensive psychological preparations. Some of these tactics have been known for thousands of years. What has anthroponics changed then? Anthroponics changed? Nothing. We remain powerless before the pale. The only real advance in pale transit is the speed with which an aerostatic craft can pierce it. Less exposure leads to less effects later. Aerostatic craft? Hybrid airship, detective. Conventional rotors or jet engines no longer add velocity after the point of reference for motion is suspended once you've crossed from near pale to far pale. But this is interesting stuff, but not really something you could be thinking about the real life, but interesting definitely. No idea how to really think about all of that. It's definitely out of this world. In essence, we throw them in and they come out the other end, if we throw them precisely. What if we don't? Then they don't. Gone like a skipping stone beneath the surface, then would be. So how much pale is there compared to the world? The pale outweighs reality 2 to 1. There is more pale than there is matter, and the ratio is slipping. Slipping how? To our detriment, or... What do you think, detective? She looks you into the eye. Probably indeed it's getting worse for us. It's growing, there's more and more of the pale. Precisely. One of the few measurable effects of the pale is that it is expanding at an unknown rate. An initiative conclusion of the development is that one day the pale will cover everything, but this sort of talk is mostly left to extremists. Cover everything? Poor cop. That can't be. Where would we go? Most people are indeed most private and government sector organizations, entire civilizations and religions even, find handy ways to ignore or downplay that knowledge. I suggest you do the same. Off we go, you see the hanged man's mouth open. Off we go into the wild pale yonder. That's what the hangman said, yes sir is. One and all, she closes her eyes. They say pale is death, but for the universe. Why should we just leave and leave? And the world gets left behind? I don't know. Let's return to reality, please. Yes, sweet reality. She stops her foot. But before we do, tell me, detective. Is this the first time you are hearing this? Do you really not remember anything? I sometimes sense vague shadows of a past and it's not good. Usually speaking, no. Then tell me, what do you think of the pale? Well, I guess it would be disco is definitely one plausible answer. There's three options that I want to say. I want to say you were right, it's disco. Or I don't know how you've all survived with it. It's a huge accomplishment. I don't want to go into this communism and all of these silly things. Who am I to think anything of it is also a reasonable thing to say. But let's go with it. It's goddamn disco. You were right. Her eyes tense. Crow's feet radiate from them. She observes you. Your bloodshot eyes and swollen face. You really didn't know. This does not spell good for the investigation, detective. If you don't know even this then. She stops mid-sentence. This investigation will be my masterpiece, the one they remember me by, I promise. And to be honest, I haven't been a bad cop though. I've solved so goddamn many cases if you consider, and only 3 kills. So in all honesty, I've done amazing jobs. I hope so, I truly do. If I may success, hold on to your colleague Kitsuraki. I ran a check on him and he is very competent. In the meanwhile, some of that assurance is meant for herself as much as it's meant for you. She must have a lot on the line here. Yay, experience, level up. You have me. I will assist you in any way I can, even if we have to do it one basic term at a time. She gives you a slight bow. Thank you kindly. Very much appreciated. Good. The lieutenant returns. You have not passed out from it. Perhaps I was worried for nothing. Are we still on the reality lowdown, or should we do actual police work now? That was fucking insane, Kim. You needn't have worried, Kim. I'll do my best. But I did anyway. He looks around a little uncomfortable now. Aw. Damn it, you're a chrome man. The lieutenant thinks shouldn't have gotten protective here. Well, I'm glad that you did though, on the other hand, Kim. I am glad you did. Right, let's get to work, Lieutenant. Good luck, detectives. She nods you goodbye. Oh my goodness. Well, that has been enlightening. I will at least get close to the place. I should really make sure that I have enough space to still record. That's the main issue, because I would want to play a little bit more, but if I'm running out of space, then that's a little bit difficulty there. I will probably cut out a little bit here when I go and just make sure can I record a little bit more, because I really would like to just get this get into the night sleeps, ready for the night sleep and stuff like that, but I'll be right back with you. To be continued with Kid Arusha next time in Disco Elysium. See you all then.